Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. I was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Let's rock and roll with what happened last night between Oklahoma City and San Antonio. Normally don't start with national stuff, but man, when we have a game like this, it was absolutely crazy. Thunder are up 1 till the Spurs answer with a 3. Champagny knocks down a corner triple, gives the Spurs a 1-point lead. Tied at 99, Wembanyama, just the start of his unreal highlight package, makes it a 2-point San Antonio lead. This is the Thunder. They have the MVP, and SGA drives and scores. Game is tied at 101. You know who's going to get the ball with 3 seconds to go. Wembanyama up with it. Rejected, though, by Chet Holmgren. Comes up and swats Wemby. And means we have overtime. This great game continues. Spurs are up 4. Alex Caruso, what got into him last night? Drains the 3. Thunder down 1. Next Spurs possession. They turn it over, trying to force it to Wembanyama. Jalen Williams gets loose. He throws it down. OKC back up by 1. Same score. Minute to go. SGA just gets right to the basket and scores. Thunder now up 3. 30 seconds to go in overtime. Look at this. Wembanyama. Are you Steph Curry range? He can do that too? Come on. The game is tied at 108. We have double overtime. This is unfair. I don't know what you do. The throw in, hammers it over Holmgren. Spurs have a 4-point lead. Silence the crowd with that one. Still a 4-point San Antonio lead. Again, the layup underneath. Just throw it up. There's no one going to be as tall as him to stop it. And he ends the game with a monster block. San Antonio goes in and beats the Thunder in game 1. 122-115 in double overtime. Look at the stat line. Wembanyama goes for 41 points, 24 rebounds. He played 49 minutes last night as OKC, the reigning champs, loses for the first time in this postseason. That pretty much seems like it's the NBA Finals here, folks. I hate to tell you this for the Knicks fans out there, myself included, who have Game 1 tonight of the East Finals between the Knicks and the Cavs. Seems like that's the undercard in the NBA playoff bracket because certainly seems like San Antonio and Oklahoma City is the main event. So it's 1-0 Spurs, Game 2 tomorrow night. As I mentioned, Game 1, Cavs and Knicks coming up tonight. With that, we say good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic on this Tuesday morning, the 19th day of May, 2026. Just taking a deep breath after what we saw last night. That was something else. I'm sure there are some that maybe their basketball fandom is done since the Timberwolves are out, or maybe just not basketball fans, period. I would tell you to somehow, if you were a sports fan or just curious about who is this guy, to find a way to watch the next few. This is going to be a great series. I fully anticipate we're going to have 6 or 7 of these games, which for NBC they'll soak it up because he's becoming a television spectacle where even the most casual observer will tune in to watch. That's what Wembanyama has become. I think it started a little bit in the first round. It certainly got bigger against the Timberwolves, obviously with the ejection that happened with the flying elbow on Naz Reid. But look at what he did in Game 5 and Game 6 after he got tossed in Game 4 against Minnesota. And then last night. Last night is what we've been hearing about. We've been talking about him on this show for the better part of 4 years, maybe 5 years, when he first burst on the scene in France as this unicorn, and the Spurs won the lottery, and that in more ways than one that they got that guy playing for him now. So he transcends, and this may sound hyperbolic, but it does the day after what had a game like that, where he transcends the game. Like, you just want to watch him. And if he can hopefully stay healthy, he's unstoppable. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I tweeted that out last night. Like, and he turned around, he dunked it over two guys who were not short dudes by any stretch of the imagination. What are you supposed to do there? That, to me, is just fun to watch. And then he steps up and hits a three like that? That's Steph Curry range where he hit the three last night to tie the game. It's phenomenal to watch. And I would hope that whoever wins between the Cavs and the Knicks gives some resistance, but even if the Thunder somehow come in, and I don't say somehow, they're the reigning champs. They have the MVP. They're not slouches here. They're being left behind today in the afterglow of what he did last night. Great stuff, and a heck of a way to start our show. We got a lot to get to here on a busy Tuesday morning. Last night was a sneaky good sports night. I don't know how many more Mondays we're going to have like that prior to the football season going, but last night was pretty darn good. You had that game happening. We're going to show you what happened in hockey in a second. The Twins were playing last night as they wrapped up this 9-game homestand with the Houston Astros. And Houston typically has been a massive thorn in the side of the Twins. I'm here to tell you, for those that aren't paying attention, they stink. The Astros came in last night 10 games under 500, facing a Minnesota team that is quietly playing okay baseball, getting some decent starting pitching. And the Josh Bell fan club is here to tell me that to pipe down after I ripped the Twins for signing this guy as their major offseason addition. He was it. Well, he was their offense last night. This is a tank shot deep to center. Makes it a 1-zip game. He'd add to it in the fourth inning. He has that uppercut kind of swing where it's going to go if he hits it. 2-run shot the opposite way. Makes it a 3-0 Twins lead through 4 innings. Then the rain came and delayed this game for over 2 hours. I'm not sure if I would wait out a Twins-Astros game for 2 hours on a Monday night in May. There aren't that many people there to begin with. When they resumed play at about 9:45 last night, there was nobody there. Bell was there, delivers again with a base hit. Trevor Larnach scores. It's 4-0 Minnesota out of the rain delay. The Astros would strike and get a couple runs back. Luke Keeschall bloops one in for a hit. That's going to score Cody Clemens and Ryan Jeffers. Twins would get actually up 6-0 in this game before the Astros put 3 in against Justin Topa in the top half of the 7th. Taylor Rogers came in to finish it out with about 8 people in the stands. I think they're all behind home plate. Twins break them up. Won a couple in a row here. 6-3 the final last night in taking game 1 of the set from the Astros. It was a bullpen game last night, and actually that helped out with the rain that you didn't waste a starter, as there were 7 different pitchers that went last night for Minnesota to get the win. Game 2 comes up tonight at Target Field. Zebby Matthews, I don't know how he can have an encore as good as what he had in his first start of the year when he went 7 innings and struck out 5. Lance McCullers goes for the Astros tonight in game number 2. We had that poll question, I think, a year ago. It all blends together now, of how long you'd wait out a rain delay. Like on a Monday night, and I saw the game get delayed last night, like, okay. And it was official and Corey Provis said it on the broadcast last night, that the game had become, you could just hear the frustration in him and Justin Morneau's voice last night when the tarp came out. It was like, ugh. That the game was official once the tarp came out, but they were going to resume it. They knew there was a window to finish off the game, and it did well after. Here's the funny part, that the basketball game, which started after and went double overtime, still finished before the Twins game did last night. The basketball game ended at 10:40, and the baseball game was still going last night. You got to be a hardcore fan. Either that or you get a chance to go down and everybody's left and you sit behind home plate, then you can go do that. That'd be the only way to stay. On a school night, too, they said 11,000 were there last night. I think there were about 7 there last night. You have the results of what? Sorry, Eric's talking to my ear. You have the results of what?
Our rain delay poll. I just looked this up.
When did we do it?
2022.
Oh, gosh. It wasn't last year.
Yeah, it was July 13th. I don't remember who. We also did one last year, too.
Same thing?
Yeah, basically the same thing.
Okay.
The
Running
first
out of
one
ideas.
in 22 was not leaving at 21%, leaving at first, drop at 8, waited out for a bit at 71.
Okay.
And then the one we did last year, 0 to 2 hours, got 79% of the votes. 2 to 4, 15, 4 plus 6%.
Yeah. So last night was a 2-hour delay. So that's probably on the threshold of wanting to stay. In May. It's different in July, but in May, nah, I'm probably who they're playing. If they're playing the Yankees, if they're playing the Cubs, the Brewers, you'll stick around. The Astros, who are now 19-30, I'm not sure if you're sticking around for that. And that was the game last night, was the complete, I'd say, undercard of a great sports night. You had Game 1 of the West Finals, and you had Game 7 in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs in the NHL between Montreal and Buffalo, with the winner to get Carolina in the NHL's Final Four. This series has been off the rails. You've had multiple goaltenders pulled throughout the entire series. The Sabres had not won a Game 7 since I was in high school, my senior year of high school, 1997. You know why I know that? I was there when they won Game 7 against Ottawa. 1997, April. It was 2 months before I graduated. That's the last time the Sabres won a Game 7. That was the scenario last night against Montreal. They're down 2-1 in the third period when Rasmus Dahlin scores and ties it for the Sabres on a nifty goal at 2. The game goes to overtime. On an innocent play, Montreal's Alex Newhook scores just over 11 minutes into sudden death overtime. And Montreal, which won a road Game 7 against Tampa when Newhook scored the game winner, wins another road Game 7 against the Buffalo Sabres, one of the youngest teams in the NHL. The Canadiens will play in the NHL's Final Four, and for Buffalo and its sports teams, I'm not sure how much more heartache they can have. The teams out here have plenty. The Minnesota-based professional teams, the Buffalo ones between the Sabres and the Bills, it's right up there right now. So these are the 4 teams left in hockey's playoffs. It'll be Colorado and Vegas. That'll start tomorrow night in Denver. ESPN and ABC have the rights to that series. The East Finals between Montreal and Carolina will be on TNT. That'll start Thursday night at 7 from downtown Raleigh to open up that. So you have a possibility Colorado-Montreal, Colorado-Carolina, which are the 2 best teams. I'm not sure what that does for the average sporting fan. Vegas-Montreal, now that's interesting. Or you could go the complete opposite way, have Vegas-Carolina, which 20 years ago, neither team had a franchise. Carolina just got there from moving from Hartford. Meanwhile, Vegas has been on the scene for now all of 8 years. All they do is win. The Golden Knights have already won a Stanley Cup. They played in multiple Stanley Cup finals. Yeah, they've been okay. So at this point, I think for the, again, average sports fan, taking in the final 4 teams you have in both sports, in both winter sports, you just want good games. Like what happened last night, which was extremely entertaining, exciting. That's all. If you don't have a rooting interest in the 4 teams left, like for myself, I just want the best games possible. And after we had some duds in the NBA playoffs, and frankly in the NHL, we got rewarded with that last night. Those were 2 really, really entertaining games last night. We have a packed show coming up for you here today. Our Tuesday guest lineup brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. No McFeely today. He'll be with us tomorrow on the big show. At 9:35, Brett Peterson will join us, West Fargo head baseball coach. The EDC baseball tournament is slated to start today, which seems fitting that we're playing baseball when it's like 45 degrees out. We'll see. Weather pending. The Packers are the 3 seed, with the state tournament is a week from next Thursday. State A baseball being held this year in Minot. We'll visit with Brett about his Packers team coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, old friend is back in the area. Adam Jacobson has been hired as an assistant coach for Dennis Hutter and the UND women's basketball team, back at a job he used to be at. Jake's been all over the place, whether it been he was at Science for a little bit. He coached with our friend Rick Newman out at UMary. He's been the last 4 years at Western Colorado. Now he's back in Grand Forks. It'll be great to catch up with Jake. We're looking forward to that conversation at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, she burst on the scene this year for NDSU track, and she had a heck of a birthday weekend. Paige Renschler will join us after winning the 100 and the 200 meters for NDSU at the Summit League Track Championships. Shanley's own. Her story of getting onto the track is pretty remarkable as well. We're excited to have her join us to wrap up the show at 10:35 this morning. So that's what we got coming up here on a busy Tuesday morning. We'll take our first break. Hot Mic is off and rolling. Glad you're joining us. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Ooh, that's fancy. Hopper's doing some work again. Welcome back, everybody. Off and rolling. Brett Peterson from West Fargo will join us in just a few minutes. You already heard the dulcet tones of our executive producer, one Eric Bedell, who I am turning over partial control of segments of the show for the next little bit here. I have no idea what he wants to discuss. This is a blind segment for me, so without further ado, what are we doing here at 9:20?
Well, I want to get to the NCAA basketball stuff in a second.
Okay.
But I was scrolling through Twitter this morning just before the show came on.
Scary.
I know. That's bad to scroll through Twitter. But I know how much Jack loves monster trucks.
He does.
You guys you talk about it every time you guys get back.
Go to Monster Jam. Yep.
And I saw this on Twitter at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Oh. Okay. What am I looking at here?
This dude goes 103 miles an hour in a monster truck. That's the fastest it's like.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like this is safe whatsoever.
No, I mean, thankfully the backstretch is really long.
Yeah,
but
it's 2.5 miles, yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, it just doesn't.
This is in Indianapolis he did this?
Indianapolis he did this on the backstretch, so it turns.
What Monster Jam is? What truck is this?
I think it's Power Rush.
Oh, the Jackman may know that one. We may have this one at home. I did not know this video. All right.
Neither did I until I was scrolling through this morning.
All right.
But I just thought this would be cool. It's kind of like our What Did You Miss segment.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yes.
Or however long ago we did that. Been longer than that.
Yes.
But today, because the NCAA tournament expansion is like a big deal.
It is.
And what was it, about 2 weeks ago now?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it as I'm trying to pull up the video. We talked about it, and I went into the studio after the show and said, hey, I think 4 teams are going to make it out of the first 8 games, or 12, however many games there are.
There's 12.
12, okay. I think 4 teams. And I did some research. So far, only 2 teams out of the play-in games have made the made the Final Four. 2011 VCU, which was the first year. They beat Kansas to go to the Final Four. And then 2021 UCLA. but the results from other years, so 2013, LaSalle was a 13. They made it to the Sweet 16. 14, Tennessee was an 11.
Mm-hmm.
They made a Sweet 16 run. 11, Dayton made the round of 32. Wichita State in 2016, 11 seed, made the round of 32. 2017, number 11, USC made the round of 32. 18, Syracuse was an 11, made the Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm.
19, no wins. 21, mentioned UCLA, Final Four. 22, 11 seed Notre Dame, round of 32. 23, 11 seed Pitt, round of 32. 23, also 16 seed FDU beat Purdue.
Yep.
10 Colorado, and 24 round of 32. And then obviously this past year in Texas, Texas made the Sweet 16. So I think there's going to be 4 teams that make at least win one game, and I think 2 will make the Sweet 16.
That are going to be playing in this new first round.
Yes, because I think the nerves are going to be gone.
Interesting. Well, that's the question on this now, expansion of now going to 76 and there's been, like, VCU got in a roll, that team in 2011 that you were talking about, and then made it all the way to the Final Four because they had played multiple games. I'll be interested to see what that matchup looks like once we actually see, like, the bracket then made of the teams that are there, of what it all goes down to matchups on that. And you very likely you could have maybe a conference rematch. If we're going to get 76, you're going to have a team that's 18 and 13 as a 12 seed, maybe playing a team from their own league who's a 5 seed after they win that first game. I can see four out of those teams that are going to play in that opening Tuesday or Wednesday make it to the second weekend. That's what you're thinking?
I'm thinking round of 32 and then 2 make the second weekend.
Okay, 2 to the Sweet 16.
Yeah. Because you have all the 12-5s playing each other. You have some 15s.
See, I don't want to push. I think I agree with you. That's probably I'd like to not agree with that. We'll see. To disagree, I'll go under. I'll say under.
I know coaches aren't a fan of it, but I think it's going to help the product. I think it's going to be better tournaments, but I also think they missed the bullseye on this of just adding. They should have just added, in my opinion, they should have added like 4 more teams and just go 4 games the first day on Tuesday, and then 4 games on Thursday, and you stay in Dayton.
See, maybe I was speaking with a few people up at the Summit League tournament or at the Summit League Track Championships that Sioux Falls is definitely putting in a bid. Hopefully, we can have something on that maybe later this week of trying to host that other site of games. I don't know if it's going to be better basketball. There are going to be games on in the middle of the day on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, so I don't know who's going to be watching this at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday and a Wednesday next March. But this goes to the heart of another topic of the college football playoff expansion as well, because they want to blow it up and go to 24. Not necessarily everything bigger is better. I think we're going down a road here where it's not necessarily better for everybody. The thing on what your point is on making a run here, if it's a mid-major, then I think people will be interested. If it's like Tennessee or, I don't know, Washington, give me another power team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it, like, Fairleigh Dickinson was a 16. That's the ultimate. Them beating Purdue and the amount of interest they got heading to the second round game. Like, if we're going to get a team out of the Missouri Valley, heaven forbid a Summit League or a Big Sky team heck, Big Sky hasn't won a game in 20 years in the tournament. But if you get that, then we could talk about more people being excited for it. I don't know if you're going to get a lot of people jazzed like, hey, USC they played in that opening day, and they're going to make it to the Sweet 16. I don't know. It's really interesting. I think here's the thing about it. Were you clamoring for this?
I wasn't.
Right,
no,
that's the thing. Nobody was.
If anything, I was clamoring for 72 just to add 2 games, like maybe even one more game at Dayton each day.
I would be a fan of it if they said, hey, we're going to do this, but we're only going to allow the teams that have net rankings under 100. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the mid-major teams are going to be invited in that. And that's not what this is going to be. We know exactly what it's going to be.
No, it's going to be Bruce Pearl's son getting in for Auburn.
Right, because Auburn was one of the last teams out. That's the thing. If your team now 77, 78, 79, 80, how good are you?
Not very.
That's what I'm saying. If you're not even there, are you even going to the NIT anymore? That's the
NIT
thing.
even a thing anymore?
It still is, but especially now when you go to 76, I don't know what.
Like, I remember when that tournament, this is probably not that long ago, but it was like a huge deal, and now it's just.
Well, the Gophers
not
won.
there
Yeah,
anymore.
the Gophers won it not that long, about a decade ago, maybe a little bit longer. That was a big deal. The Gophers won it. Now it's. I couldn't even. Who won it this year?
Couldn't even tell you.
Nope. I don't. I do not remember who won it.
I didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah, it happened all in Indianapolis because the Final Four was there. So, all right, that was a good one. That was good. We'll do another one on Thursday. I can't wait for that. I thought for sure it was just going to be Aaron Rodgers related. I was banking on that.
He should just retire, but
Well, no, he's back with your buddy McCarthy now in Pittsburgh.
that's fine. They can have him.
So-
Old, washed-up Aaron Rodgers. Your dad will be happy.
I texted him about that on Saturday night. I don't think the exact text was "Here we go again." That was all I got. So
So they're going to finish just above 500.
And
like
make the
they do
playoffs.
every year and
Right.
make the playoffs.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
be boring and not be fun. And
And we'll do it all over again. All right, there it is. Good stuff. We appreciate Eric giving us some good content there. Let's break. We come back. We'll hopefully be playing baseball here outside today. We're a week out from the state tournaments. West Fargo hopes to be in the mix. Head coach Brett Peterson will join us on the Packers when that EDC tournament's set to begin today. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Hot mic off and rolling here on a Tuesday morning. Adam Jacobson, UND Hoops, will join us about a half hour. Here it is. It's the 19th day of May. You see outside, it was chilly at the bus stop this morning, I can tell you that. But the calendar says we're supposed to be playing the EDC baseball tournament today. Mother Nature may have another say in that. Our next guest can give us a clue. His team has finished third in the regular season in EDC baseball. Great to have longtime head coach Brett Peterson from West Fargo join us here on a Tuesday morning and get us going. Are we playing ball today or what? What's an update?
As of right now, we are. I like I said, I know they're checking field conditions. They have to play all 4 games, and being at 4 different sites, they have to make sure all the fields are ready to go. So I have a feeling we'll find out one way or the other around noon. But as of right now, we're playing and just kind of waiting on field conditions and probably temperatures to some degree too.
That last part just makes me shake my head on temperatures. But you and I have done the old start the season later bit. I'm not going to waste time with it now. But tell me about just, hey, we're hoping to play. Just what's the waiting game like for you as a head coach, and then trying to tell your team either we're going today or not?
Yeah, the nice thing about starting on Tuesday, I guess, is if we do have to postpone it into tomorrow, it doesn't really change anything scheduling wise, pitching wise, anything like that. Yeah. So I think it's probably for us, it's a little more anxiety as coaches than it is the players. They're ready to go whenever it is. So it doesn't change anything how we approach a game plan or how we're gonna attack the game. So it's just we'll find out when we go. If it's today, we're ready, and if it's tomorrow, we'll be ready tomorrow as well.
See, that kind of mindset for the players is probably great because this is the biggest week. You got to somehow win 2 games, Brett, to keep your season going.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the East this year, it's you look at 1 through 8, and I know we've said it in the past, but it's probably never been more true that you could take any 4 of those teams, and if you told me they're going to state next weekend, I wouldn't be surprised. It's going to be a very competitive weekend. A lot of good teams, a lot of good players, a lot of really good starting pitching that you'll see throughout the course of the tournament. So yeah, it's going to be a tough tournament for any team to get 2 wins out of to get to next weekend.
In fact, you get Davies right off the hop. Tell us about this matchup. If it's today, it's tomorrow. What kind of challenge does Davies present to you guys?
Davies they're a well coached. They're a good team. They, like I said, when you talk starting pitching, no matter who they throw at us, it's going to be a tough task for our hitters. They swing the bats really well. We're pretty familiar with each other. We saw each other in EDC last year, and we've seen each other quite a bit over the years. So you always know you're going to get a really good game from them. They're going to come ready to go, and we're going to have to come in with our A game if we're going to come out on top.
Tell us about the 2026 Packers. Is this what you thought for this year? Underachieve, overachieve? How would you describe your team this season?
I think from us as a coaching staff, this is kind of what we had thought. I think going into the year, we thought, hey, we have a good chance to take a top 4 seed into the EDC tournament. About 3 weeks ago, we were sitting 5-5 in the conference, and but we didn't feel like we were far away. We saw some things, in all aspects of the game. We were starting to swing it a little bit. Pitchers were really starting to kind of do the things that we thought they were going to do. And from a conference standpoint, we went on a 9-1 run, to grab this 3 seed. So we're really hitting the ball well. I think that's maybe exceeded our expectations a little bit, is how well we've been hitting the ball. I think we kind of knew what we were going to get from a few of our guys on the mound, and I thought would be pretty good defensively, which we have been, but offensively maybe a little bit of a surprise, and that's just the part of the game that we really got to keep going the next 2 weekends to have some success.
Yeah, I'm looking here at your recent stretch here, 17, 13 runs, 15, 17, 16. What is it about why the offense has clicked here over the last few weeks?
I think a lot of it's confidence, and a lot of it is just contributions from everybody in the lineup, right? It's not just like it's the top of the order, middle of the order. We're getting significant contributions up and down the lineup. I think what we've become is kind of a tough lineup to attack. There's really no one right now to pitch around. We got a little bit of speed. We can do some things on the bases. If we have to play small ball, we feel pretty good about that. So it's just a lot of consistency up and down the lineup with just a lot of our guys that, they say you want to be getting hot at the right time of the year, and right now that's kind of where we're at.
I got to ask, Brett, now with the advent of everything indoors in West Fargo, how much does that help for getting guys ready to hit? It's one thing to try and simulate it, another thing to be actually in the cage to be able to do that. How much does that change things out in West Fargo now?
I can't even tell you how much it's changed things. Yeah. Just this year, this is the first year, we've had our indoor facilities. So, like we told the guys, and even as a coaching staff, we talked normally a player's first live at bat comes in the first game of the year. Oftentimes it's down in Sioux Falls. Battle of the Dakotas is the first time we get on a field, right? So, but throughout the course of the winter, and especially in batting practice, a lot of these guys had 30 to 40 at bats off of live pitchers before the season even started. And I really think that that's made a difference, both at the beginning of the year and probably the way you've seen us swing the bats here the last couple of weeks. I just think it's such a repetition game. You want all those reps, and you can't get those reps in a lot of indoor places, in our climate in the wintertime, and our facility has allowed us to do that. So I think it has helped a lot with where we're at right now.
Say 10 years ago, Fargo and West Fargo didn't have anything indoors like this. Now both do. How much has that accelerated the level of player around here in your mind?
I think a lot. I think you always had teams from the South. Is perceptive wise, they have the advantage, right? Because they can play year round. We're kind of at that point where we can play year round. You can't go into any of these facilities and actually play a live game, but you can simulate now almost every part of the game. So I think in that regard, we've really been able to catch up to some of the schools and some of the teams that have the warmer climates where they can be outside. So yeah, I think you're right. Look at the last 10 years for us in West Fargo specifically, just this last year having the facility we have, we're not going to be as far behind, from here on out as teams and players that are able to play outside most of the year.
All right, you've been known to be around a pretty good pitcher or two during your time in the EDC. Right now, we got two high-end pitchers. What is that like to see these two guys, Caden Nelson at South and obviously Kason Barkard at Horace? Is this as good as you've ever seen it in terms of pitching in the EDC?
I think depth-wise, yeah. I think just the number of guys that can go out now. You see, when I first started, it was kind of, you were pretty happy and surprised to see a low 80s pitcher, right? 85 was, you just didn't see a lot of that. And now that has become kind of that upper 80s, 90s. And, the two guys that you just mentioned, we faced them both this year. And yeah, I mean, they are as tough as it gets as an opponent. And, you could throw 5-6 other names in there of guys with good velocity. And I think it is the deepest the EDC has ever been pitching wise. When you look at all the teams in the East that since I've been coaching, we've seen over the years a lot of good pitchers, but maybe not the depth that we have in the East right now.
When you're facing those guys, do you even talk to your team about what they're facing, or you want to get out of their heads because they already know what's coming is going to be difficult in its own right?
It's a little of each, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be thinking too much, especially when you're facing that. And guys, you just don't see, like I said, you don't see a lot of upper 80s, 90-mile-an-hour fastballs. Not to mention, the off-speed pitches that both of those guys throw, right? So I think the goal is always to try to attack and get a fastball, get something early in the count that you can handle. It's pretty tough when you're sitting in an 0-2, 1-2 count and you have all their options coming at you. So I think it's kind of being aggressive early, getting on that pitch that you're able to handle. But yeah, you don't want to overthink it either and talk too much. It's still one of those games that you want to be reacting rather than thinking through those things.
So we got a guy going to Oregon. We got another guy going to Texas A&M. Drew Eric is not that long ago is pitching in the SEC. Just football gets a lot of the lion's share of the attention, Brett, but the level of baseball player the last 5 years is second to none around here. It's really, really impressive.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you just didn't, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you didn't see guys going to schools of that caliber.
No.
And I think that does speak a lot to North Dakota baseball, where we're at right now. I think, we're on the map a little bit. It just takes a few guys, right? And then all of a sudden people understand some of these programs, realize that there's some talent up here if you come looking for it. And it's good that those guys are, putting us on the map a little bit. And I expect this to be something that continues over the course of the years. When you look at all the youth baseball players and the facilities we have, I don't think this is something that's going to be a one-time occurrence or just a rare thing. I think this is going to be a year in, year out type deal.
When you mentioned the off-speed, how big a deal is that? It's one thing to throw hard and throw 90 or 91, but to have a breaking pitch, a slider, how rare is that, or the fact that the kids are able to do it these days to make them that much better?
That's the game changer,
Yeah.
I think, right? Because, like I said earlier, before you didn't have a lot of, 80 was kind of that benchmark 15, 20 years ago, and now that's the norm. So, I mean, I think guys are getting accustomed to the velo, even middle to upper eights. But when you get a guy that can, especially a changeup, we've seen a couple of kids this year with changeups that, that I think that's when you look at all levels of baseball, all the way up to the majors, right? I mean, everybody's bullpen now has those 97, 98-mile-an-hour arms, but the guys that really can mix speeds, hitting spots is still important too. Guys that can work the corners, but that mixes speeds where you just don't know what's coming, and then to try to pick that up as a high school hitter,
yeah,
that's where the game changer really. That's where these guys can be really, really tough when they mix that up along with a live arm.
Brett Peterson joining us, West Fargo Packer baseball head coach. Packers have Davies coming up today at 5. Everything then moves to Jack Williams. How neat is that for this year? You guys get to play there for the semifinals and the championship this weekend.
Yeah, no, it's always a fun place to play. I haven't been out there myself now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I hear that there's been some work done out there. So, it's always a great atmosphere to play in. I know people, fans and parents like to watch out there. So, yeah, we have a lot of nice fields in the area now, and it's fun to jump around and play in all of them.
We were visiting off air. State next week is in Minot. I'm trying to remember the last time Minot hosted the State A baseball tournament. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, it has been a while. I couldn't tell you the exact year either. Like I was telling you earlier too, for a long time there, it bounced between Jamestown and Mandan.
Yeah.
That was the rotation that we went with forever, kind of centrally located. But as more programs have worked on their fields and built fields, we've had a chance to host it in West Fargo. Fargo's hosted it now, Dickinson. So I think every town kind of wants to get in on the mix and host it. So there's just a lot of really good fields in North Dakota. There's unique fields, and you get a different kind of atmosphere each time for the state tournament, which I think that's a little more fun than always having it the same venue. Is kind of having that different atmosphere. Every field has a different character, different things, to it. So it's fun to bounce around to go to some of these different fields.
I have to ask you, as a diehard baseball fan, we were talking earlier, so the Twins game, got delayed for 2 hours last night in May. Would you stay in May, or would you stay in July? Or does it depend on who the team's playing? Like, what's the threshold for you to stay during a rain delay? Or would you just leave anyway?
Honestly, If I'm there, I'm staying. I think that they were talking. I think there might have been 100 people there by the end last night. It was not very many. I was at a game against Cleveland a couple summers ago, and it was we ended up being in the ballpark for almost 8 hours, and I love it. When I was a kid, I was always hoping for extra innings just to stay as long as possible. Now, when the field conditions and weather conditions are like they were yesterday, it's a little bit more of a grind.
Yes.
It's easier to stay in a rain delay in the middle of August than it is probably in May.
Correct.
But I'm sticking around and watching the whole thing.
So, were you by yourself at the end of the 8 hours, or was somebody still with you when you were waiting it out?
There was more people than you would think. It wasn't like it was a delay in the middle. Once the game actually started, we played it out, but it was about 3.5 hours. And then, you get there a little bit early as well.
Yep.
So, but it was kind of one of those where the way that the radar was looking, the way they were talking, it was going to happen. It was just not a matter of how long the delay was actually going to be.
That's the hardcore, man. You're diehard. If you're going to stay, we're here, right? We're not going to go.
Yeah.
Man. So you mentioned today at noon is probably the decision if you're going to go or not?
Yep, I think the fields are being looked at now, and I think they're also kind of monitoring the temperatures too. It's obviously going to be, a little warmer as the week goes on.
Yeah.
So I think that might play into the decision too. But like I said, right now we're approaching everything as a 5 o'clock start. So that's what we'll do until we hear otherwise.
Yeah, the wind yesterday. My son was supposed to have T-ball last night, and it ended up getting canceled, and rightfully so, because it ended up raining at 5:45 right when we were going to be out there. But that wind, that's the other part as well, Brad. If you're out there, it's one thing if it's raining. It's another thing that'll cut right through you out there.
Yeah, it's been a weird year because we haven't had a lot of games canceled due to weather, and we didn't have snow issues early, but it feels like almost every game we've played, it's been a 20 to 30 mile an hour wind, gusting up to 40. I mean, we've played with the wind blowing straight in where you can barely get a ball out of the infield, and a couple of times last week the wind was blowing straight out where it was just a launching pad. So we've kind of been through it all, but the wind has been the common theme. It's been very few nights where you look out and the flags aren't moving at all.
It's great to catch up, bud. Good luck tonight. Stay warm out there. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk soon, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
There he goes. Brett Peterson, head coach of the West Fargo baseball team. Packers have Davies coming up tonight in the EDC quarterfinals. Everybody moves to Jack Williams Stadium for consolation semis and championship semis on Friday. And then the top 4 teams make it on to the state tournament, which you will see coming up next week, part of our extensive coverage of each of the state tournaments from Minot and Jamestown, along with Mandan and Grand Forks for soccer, tennis, Class A and B baseball, and Class A and B softball. We'll give you all the details on that as the week rolls on. Let's break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Second hour on deck with Adam Jacobson from UND Basketball. Hot Mic continues after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Adam Jacobson, our thanks to Brett Peterson for giving us a few minutes there. There's a couple of NFL newsy notes that are going to become official today. 2 stories that we have talked about that'll be approved at the owners' meetings that are happening in Orlando. One is the NFL draft. Minneapolis is expected to be announced today as the host city for the 2028 NFL draft. That will confirm earlier reports that came out, I want to say last month, that U.S. Bank Stadium will be the anchor location, is how they describe it, of the 3-day event. Other programming, according to the Star Tribune, planned in St. Paul and at the Mall of America, which, for those that are familiar with that, the Mall of America and U.S. Bank Stadium are not necessarily close to one another. So, and for those that did the Super Bowl, as we did a few years down there, I'm infinitely curious on this. After seeing what Pittsburgh was just last month, just a couple weeks ago, heck, what Green Bay was last year, I don't know where they're going to do this. I mean, there's not that much room outside U.S. Bank Stadium. I'm going to find some other video that we got when we were down there in 2023 when the Bison played against Eastern Washington, because I shot some stuff outside of U.S. Bank Stadium. I have no idea where they're planning to put people, if they're going to get this amount of people. I mean, they had over 300,000 people for the first round of the draft. on that Thursday night. I don't know where you're putting 300,000 humans around U.S. Bank. There's just not a great tailgating spot around U.S. Bank Stadium. I know we have had plenty of people that have watched or listened to our show that have been down there. I don't know where you're going to put them all. But they are very excited to get this. I can tell you now the NFL has decided to make a concerted effort that for the northern cities, you will get the draft. You're not going to get the Super Bowl. So that's how Detroit got it, how Pittsburgh got it, how Green Bay, Philadelphia. I would imagine the draft's going to go to New York again. The New York City hosted the draft forever. Then they moved it to Chicago in 2015. And 16, Chicago had it. Now it's been a traveling road show between Vegas. Dallas had it one year. It's been all over the place. So northern cities, I expect Indianapolis probably, even though I know they have the combine. Maybe eventually they'll get the draft. And the southern cities are going to get the Super Bowl. So if you were one of the lucky ones that got to go to Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis, it's probably the last time it's ever going to be in Minneapolis, unless they somehow build a new stadium. Because that leads to the next part. Because we were down in Nashville, obviously, last year, and I know plenty of Bison fans were there last September, or heck, went back in January for the FCS Championship game, because right next to the current Nissan Stadium is the new Nissan Stadium, which will be announced today as the host of the Super Bowl in 2028. That'll be Super Bowl 64 to end next season, the 2027 season. Atlanta has it, or LA has it, then Atlanta, and then this one will be in Nashville to host that Super Bowl. So, and this stadium will have a roof on it as well. So Nashville, which has been the city that's been on the come up here, and I got to go there twice in the span of 4 months, and it every night is the same. That seems kind of repetitive to me, but it's some sort of party that's happening on Broadway seemingly every night. But Nissan Stadium, which we walked around it a little bit when we were down there. It's fine. It didn't seem like it was in total disrepair, but we've seen other shots of inside the stadium, which were not great. I was talking with a few of the workers when we were there saying, yeah, it definitely needs an upgrade. So the one is literally right next door to it. That's going to be the host for the Super Bowl here in a few years down the road. Those will be made official today out of the owners' meetings in Orlando. You had something to add on the draft before we break? Because I know you went to the draft a couple years ago.
Yeah, I did. Just two quick things on the Nashville one. It's 2030 that they would host the Super Bowl. And then the draft with U.S. Bank, they also have to be kind of keep in mind, and I know a lot of people probably don't think about this, but there's a hospital right downtown. They have to kind of keep that open for people to get in there. So where are you going to put 300,000? You're not going to put them in U.S. Bank.
No.
Because you're going to probably use that for your draft picks to walk.
Right, you have to the stage. Right, the stage part is going to be inside the stadium, right? Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question. Are they
going to put it in Egan?
Well, that's not necessarily next door either. I have no idea. Unless they're not counting on that many people going, but why would you host it if you're not going to think there's going to be a lot of people to come? I don't know. That's all to be fleshed out here over the next year plus, but that'll be made official later today out of the owners' meetings in Orlando. First reported by Sports Illustrated, and now confirmed that that'll be announced later today. The NFL draft. If you haven't gone, Eric's gone. I've had a chance to. It's a thing, man. If you're a football nerd, the draft has got to be on your to-do list. Go see it in person because it's quite the spectacle. If not, watching it at home is just fine as well. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do in Minneapolis in a couple of years. All right, we're due for a break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Old friend of the show, back in the Summit League, Adam Jacobson will join us on taking over as assistant coach with the women's team in Grand Forks. It's coming up when we come back.
This is Hot Mic.
Hot Mic.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour number 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Tuesday morning. Paige Renschler from NDSU Track going to join us about a half hour, chat about heck of a birthday weekend she had, including winning 2 Summit League track championships. That's coming up in about a half hour's time. Pretty pumped here to start our second hour with our next guest, friend of the show, who we used to have on all the time. And then he got to be a big-timer and became a Division II head coach. And now we're back in the Summit League. It's great to have Adam Jacobson joining us. UND, new women's basketball assistant coach after spending 4 years at Western Colorado. After spending time as obviously head coach at NDSCS, was out with our guy Rick Newman at UMary back in Grand Forks. What's going on, my man? How you been?
I'm doing well. How you been?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad you didn't lose my number since you became a big-time head coach. So.
Oh, man, no, absolutely not. I checked it every year to see if you were going to text me or not. I've been waiting, so I knew that's what it took to get back on the show, and I was like, I'm in. Here we go.
So tell us about the opportunity here. You're a head coach. What, did Coach Hutter call you up? How did it all come about?
Yeah, it was just staying connected. I've known Coach Hutter for, 20 years, I would say, and just when he got the opportunity, him and I had just stayed connected throughout. And when an opportunity kind of presented itself, we kind of went back and forth. And again, I enjoyed my time out in Western, but the opportunity to get back here really was exciting to me and my family. I got a bunch of small little kids, and we kind of grew a little bit. So when he talked to me about the opportunity, it was for me, kind of, hey, talk to the wife, which for her was a no-brainer. But again, we had to kind of look at everything, and that's kind of how it started and kind of rolled from there.
I remember we talked when you got the job of going to Western Colorado. Describe what the last 4 years were like, being a head coach of a Division II school, you're calling the timeout, the whole. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, it was regionally, it's the Lone Star and the RMAC, Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and arguably 2 of the best conferences in the country, Division II. And, preseason, we'd always play those Lone Star teams. We'd always have D1 exhibitions as well, so those were fun. We went to Utah and BYU last year, and, you get to coach in those arenas and kind of experience that a little bit. And but then just to be out there and really, recruit your own kids and try to build your program up. And I feel like we did that. I mean, year 1, we were 6-22, I want to say. And by year 3, we were 21-8. And last year we were 16-11. I mean, we really turned it around. So that turnaround obviously is the key piece to it. But also, Dom, I'll tell you this, we didn't have one violation the 4 years I was there. We had one of the top GPAs in the RMAC the 4 years I was there. So that's something I take pride in too. It was a lot of fun. I worked with a lot of great kids.
The level of player, we talk about it all the time, Adam, of how Division I is coming in, basically being a vulture in D2. Can you describe that, of being a head coach the last 4 years and seeing maybe some of your best players get scooped up?
Yeah, I mean, within the league especially too. I mean, the top players in the league were always ending up somewhere different. We had a girl at Adams State, or no, we didn't, but played against. She ended up at Stephen F. Austin. I mean, even here, UND now. I mean, we brought in Jada Mays. She was arguably she was finished 5th, I think, in the country percentage-wise from 3. She'll be here next year. And I told Coach Hutter, I said, yeah, she could help us a lot. So, yeah, it happens all the time. And the funny thing is, the scary part is like, I also get reports of, like, sometimes coaches jump into DMs throughout the year where they're not supposed to. And that's where, and I'm sure football really deals with that kind of stuff. But men's basketball, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's the Wild West, and I don't know how or if it's ever going to change, or I hope it does. I mean, I really do. It's kind of scary.
I heard it nasty. Is that the best way to describe your business right now?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And no one really cares. I mean, it's just like, if we can get the best kid, how do we get it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're going to get her.
So describe transition after being the guy at the end of the bench to now being assistant coach. How do you think that will go for you this year?
Well, I spent this will be year 13 as an assistant, so I got pretty good experience, and it's unique for me, especially being here, because I have an opportunity to be a part of Coach Brewster's staff, and we're in the Big Sky, and we won a lot of games and won some championships, and to now transition in Coach Hutter's staff in the same school and kind of experience kind of how things are run 2 different ways. And I'll tell you this, I think being with Coach Hutter is going to be awesome. I think what this program has lacked is vision and execution. And I think with Coach Hutter, I think you have the vision, and I definitely know you have his execution. He's putting that in. I mean, he's had so much success where he was at Mayville State, and last year is what it is, and it's just kind of him finding his feet and his program finding his feet. But man, this spring when I've been here, it's been a really, like, eye-opening experience, even for me, and I get a unique chance again to reset and see how someone else does it. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of this and watch what he's doing and how he's getting these kids to kind of get to where he wants them to get to.
So you've been back almost a month. What has the last 30 days been like?
Chaos. I mean, I got 3 drop-offs for daycare. I'm all over the city. I mean, I'm trying to get to the office as fast as I can. I mean, it's finding a place to live and just kind of getting my feet wet back with this, recruiting, like we talked about a little bit, and just getting to know kids again, and it's been fun too. Like we love Grand Forks, we love UND. My wife graduated from here. Her dad Bill is a Hall of Famer. Her uncle Mike is a Hall of Famer, both in football. I mean, so it's home for us, and just to have my family around, her family around after not having that it's been awesome. So yeah, it's been different.
You've been already on the road. Obviously, you mentioned one of your former players is coming there. What is, jumping in with 2 feet here, knowing, hey, we got to fill out a roster, and I'm still trying to get my bearings around.
Yeah, no, that's the challenge. I mean, sometimes I liken this to like a junior college type environment nowadays, even at the 4-year level, because you're resetting almost every year, it seems like. I mean, you look at the teams around the area. I mean, it's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, that's from day one. We had visits, and because that transfer portal has that window, so I jumped in right when we're in the middle of that window. So we're trying to get kids, and again, the nice thing about it is my experience here. Like when I got taken on the tour by our ops person, it was like a reunion tour. I knew everybody, so it wasn't, she was like, that's the least I've ever had to speak. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot of people I know. So like transitionally, it was really easy when it came to that. And it was, and as far as recruiting and just having kids there, I could still speak on a lot of things that are still relatively the same.
But how different is it though with the world of Division I now, where literally the rules are changing probably as we're talking?
It's insane. Yeah. It's a constant having to read up on, you actually have to read your emails now. So that's unbelievable. Yeah, I tried to avoid my emails as much as possible when it came to that kind of stuff. Now, compliance, I'm just kidding. But no, it's so different. It's going to continue that way. It really is. And I think that, for a mid-major, like they kind of just have to fall in line. They don't really get to make decisions. So when those bigger schools start, we want to do this. Well, it's probably for like 10 schools. And the rest of us are like, all right, here we go. We got to follow suit because the NCAA is like, okay, yeah, you make all the money. Yeah, we're going to do that. So,
especially now with the 5-for-5 thing, Adam, seems like it's going to happen. I mean, for you're out there on the road. How does that change even the players you're trying to recruit? Because you may have players that may have another year of eligibility that are on the team right now.
Yeah, no, as of right now, you just got to play it as it's not happening. Right. And then and recruit as is, and then if it does happen, you got to kind of take the horns the bull by the horns at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you can't operate in thinking that it's going to happen. Now, if it does, yeah, it's going to change some things, and you got to look at your recruiting and kind of see where you're at, and it's just really hard to project because you never know, and you never know what the NCAA is going to do.
No.
So it's really hard to project for us. So we just go status quo. Coach Hutter, he's just like, hey, we're just going to recruit. And if something happens, then we'll deal with it when it happens.
I know you like to play up-tempo. You like to shoot the 3. Is that something with this team? Is it built that way, or is that something you're still constructing of this is how we want to play for this upcoming year?
It's being built that way for sure. I think we'll have more length than coaches had here in a long time. We'll have more athleticism, and then you got to build that shooting, and then shooting takes time. My last year at Science, we led the nation in 3-point percentage and makes, and then my last year at Western, finally we got to the point where we led the league in 3-point percentage and makes. So like, it's a process. So like, even if you want to play that way, you can't fully play that way till you get the right kids. And again, coach, his vision, what he's doing execution-wise, like, it's happening, and we're going to get there. And next year, again, I anticipate that we're going to have a pretty fun year. And just with the kids that we have coming in, I mean, I told Coach, I asked him, hey, can I go down to Alabama and recruit down there and just go, because someone's got to go watch those softball games, like, so I'll volunteer. Let's go. So, but no, just kids like that, like just really good humans that want to be here, and then have some basketball talent to go along with it will go a long way.
Let me go back on the play. Is that how you played? Just going up and down, jacking threes? Is that what you did?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to be touched. Like, I would go 3-point line to 3-point line. Tom, I'm 6'7". I averaged 3 rebounds a game my senior year. I mean, I don't even know I got on the floor. But yeah, that was it.
Hey.
Like, and I didn't even make them half the time or most of the time. So
you're a precursor to what the NBA is now. Which
I was the original.
In a second. You mentioned obviously with Abby coming in, that transition. She hasn't played basketball in 4 or 5 years. What is that going to be like when she gets there on campus when softball's done?
Yeah, well, again, I mean, just having her up here, I know talking with coaches that she's put on about 30 pounds of good weight from that strength and conditioning program down there, and just athletically and her size. I mean, she was a really good basketball player coming out of high school.
Yes.
Now, I understand that she probably didn't continue to play all 4 years as a softball player, but she has a trainer. Her softball coach down there is allowing her to train for basketball as well throughout this year and throughout going into it. So, and then right when she's done, she's coming. Like she doesn't want to take a break, and that's the type of kids that we're trying to get. She wants to transition right into basketball, and we're like, maybe you want to pump the brakes a little bit. But again, we love the mentality and that type of kid that really wants to get after it. So, we're excited about her, and we're excited about the other kids we got coming in. Because again, athletically, I think you got to have those kids in this league that can stay in front of some of those better players and just make it tough for them.
Tell me, I know you've been away from the Summit League, from what your original experience was, or at least from afar when you were in the Big Sky, to now what you see the league is at. Where do you see maybe the biggest growth, or, boy, the league is really good, blank at this? Anything jump out to you?
I would say just overall, like, girls with size with that talent. You know what I mean? Like, again, you talk about the kid down in Fargo that you got, right? At Avery. Like, there was never a kid with her size and athleticism 15 years ago that we went against that could score like she can score, that she can do multiple things, like, and play out on that perimeter. Like, most of those 6'3", 6'4" types would just be down on that block and just take enough space. Now you have those dynamic type kids, so that's where you got to get to, and that's why. And again, that's why she's good. Brooklyn Meyer, same thing. Like, those top players, man, they just do so many things for your team that before is more stationary, or you just knew she'd be on the block, and then here we go to a move. But now they're all over the floor. So that would be the biggest thing. It's just the evolvement of the kids, and just and how coaches now, are putting them everywhere, and you can't just assume that they're going to be playing in one spot. So, we got to and that's what makes Avery so good, and Brooklyn was so, like, they're great players.
I'll tap into your great basketball mind. Did you catch any of that game last night?
Oh, man. I texted my buddy in Gunnison and said, I might be a Wimby guy now, and blah, blah, blah. My wife was in the text, and she's texting me back and said, it's 5:56 there, right? And I was like, oh, crap, I'm sorry. But I said, maybe I'm overreacting because I love the Wolves. But, man, that was unbelievable.
What do you? I mean, I tweeted this out last night when he dunked over two guys. Like, what are you supposed to do defensively there? I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Nothing. You can't. Like, everyone says in the NBA, or they used to, maybe no one plays defense. Yeah. Yes, they do. Yeah. Great offense beats great defense every time. And, like, he's 7'6". Did you see that 3-point that he pulled up from Steph Curry range? I mean, that was it right there. Yeah. I mean, and but I love the mentality that guy has. And, like, he seems like a great teammate. Like, he might have everything, like, as a basketball player, on the floor, off the floor, that you could ever want. And so, yeah, that was awesome.
My favorite part about it is every post-game interview from an opponent, and the Wolves did this, he gets, like, taller. Every guy, he's like 7'5". Well, he's 7'6". He's 8 feet tall. It's like a giant that's forming in front of our eyes.
I think Jaden McDaniel said he's the tallest man in the world, the tallest person in the world.
Yes, exactly.
So, it's unbelievable, and it is truly greatness. It truly is an alien. Yeah, like, it's fun to watch.
Oh, it's crazy. What's next on the docket for you here for the next couple of weeks? What do you have on tap?
Yeah, just kind of following up on some recruiting type stuff, continue to get my family situated in here, and then start getting ready for the summer. Because again, at this level, at D2, everyone goes home. I don't see you again. Now I gotta see you. So we'll have kids. Our team will start coming back here in the next couple of weeks, nice. and then kind of start roll forward and see what we can do.
You want to give us a great Rick Newman story, your old boss, before you go? You can roast him here if you want. We have him on the show all the time, as you know. So.
Well, I was just going to say, typically there's only 2 guys I know that will send me, or that I know that will celebrate the 4th with the "May the 4th be with you," and it's you 2 guys. And so, I saw that, and I got something from him, and then I saw you put, so I was like, oh man. And then you reached out to me. So I was like, man, the 4th is with me. Look at that.
We do share in our nerddom in that. There's no doubt. Now, if you can rock a suit like he can, now we're talking next level. Because that's pretty impressive.
Nobody can rock a suit like he can. Nobody can rock a pocket square like he can.
No, that is also very true.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, and someday, and I'm not going to put it, but someday when you guys talk again, you should ask him about how he gets all those suits and how he finds his wife will find one in the closet and be like, where'd this come from?
I asked him about the orange suit. I did ask him that one because that one is that's a personal fave there. It's great to see you, bud. Congrats on the new gig. We'll do this again much more frequently, okay?
Yes, I would love to, and I appreciate you, Dom.
Good to see you, man. There he goes.
All right, you too.
Adam
Bye
Jacobson joining us here, new UND women's basketball assistant coach, back in the area after spending the last 4 years at Western Colorado D2 school out in Gunnison, Colorado. Of course, he was head coach at NDSCS before that, and good to have him back. We'll see. UND had plenty of work to do. They've added a few players after a really disappointing season a year ago. We'll see what they have in year 2 for Dennis Hutter coming up this upcoming winter. We'll break. We come back, got a couple emails to catch up on. Paige Renschler from NDSU Track going to join us in about 15 minutes as well. Hot Mic returns on WDAY Extra. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. So a little baseball news here. We were chatting about this yesterday, the struggles of one Royce Lewis. Our friend Paul Lambert, better known as Meat Sauce at KFAN, tweeting out, he's plugged in as well on the Twins, saying Royce Lewis is going to be sent down to AAA St. Paul. We went through it yesterday, the exploits of his game Sunday that he had against the Brewers. Currently at 163, an OPS of 539 on the season. He did not play last night either against the Astros. So we'll see when the Twins make this official, but I would trust Meat Sauce on this that the Twins are going to. So that would mean Matt Wallner, who got sent down last week, and now Royce Lewis looks like on his way to St. Paul after what's just been a really tough road here. He struck out 37 times in 104 at-bats. Not a great math mind, but that seems to be a lot. And he's missing quite a bit as well. This is from Sunday's game against Milwaukee, where even when he got a second chance after the Brewers dropped a pop-out, he still couldn't make contact and get on base, just flailing up at the plate. So they're going to send him down and see if that can cure what ails him right now, because right now it's a tough watch at the plate. And what that means, I mean, it's just stunning considering where we were with him at the end of 2023, right? At the end of 2023 when he's hitting grand slams and target field is rocking because he's at the plate, has now 2.5 years later become he's heading back to the minor leagues. So we'll see now what becomes of that. But that's 2 cornerstones that the Twins had, Wallner and Lewis, that are both now in AAA. You're going the wrong way, to quote the late great John Candy from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's not where you wind up going. Let's do a couple emails here before we break, because we got Paige waiting for us here. Going back to the top of the show, Dom, good analysis on the Spurs and Wemby. Will the Spurs be champs for a generation? Well, let's pump the brakes. They got to first beat the current champs. It was just one game last night against Oklahoma City, but they certainly looked the part. The fact of the matter is, I grew up when the Orlando Magic won the lottery and got Shaq, and then the very next year they got Penny Hardaway. And then they signed Horace Grant, and then we thought the Magic were going to be the team. And what ended up happening? Shaq left, Penny got hurt, and the Magic were never heard from again in the mid-'90s, right? Here are the Spurs who won the lottery with Wemby. Dylan Harper, I think they picked second in the lottery. Stephon Castle was 4th or 5th overall pick. So, I mean, the Spurs were horrible for a while. They were 10 years they didn't make the playoffs, right? So, and they benefited and won the lottery. The Wolves won the lottery too. They have their number 1 overall pick in Anthony Edwards. But they used being sucky for a while to the absolute benefit because now they are planted with 3. And then De'Aaron Fox even played last night. He got hurt in Game 6 against the Timberwolves, who they traded for last season to pair with Wemby from Sacramento. That is that's a plan to be good. Now, I only throw the Magic comparison out there because that was, again, same like the Spurs conversation now we were having with the Magic 25, maybe 30 years ago. Gosh, 30 years ago. That they were going to be the team. And that never materialized. They made it to the NBA Finals in 95 and got swept by the Rockets. 96, Michael Jordan came back and they got got swept there in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, we'll see what happens. Maybe they always say in the NBA, you've got to lose before you can win, right? The Bulls teams with Jordan got beat by the Pistons, and then they finally got over the hump. Lakers had the same thing with Kobe and Shaq. Maybe Wemby doesn't have to wait. He's that unique of a player that this is going to happen this year. I have a feeling OKC is going to come back in a big way. We'll find out tomorrow night. Let's break. We come back. Appreciate the emails. One of the great stories of the spring sports season out of NDSU. Fargo's Paige Renschler will join us on, first off, the best birthday weekend imaginable and taking home 2 Summit League track championships. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget the 2026 North Dakota State High School track meet begins on Thursday. You can watch live coverage here on WDAY Extra beginning on Friday. We'll stream events beginning on Thursday afternoon at 3. TV coverage starts Friday at 1 here on Extra, and then championship Saturday. Everything gets going at 11 a.m. on TV from Bismarck, and what I like to call the biggest family reunion we have in North Dakota. It'll be packed as always out there beginning later this week. Our next guest actually can speak pretty well about the North Dakota State track meet. NDSU's Paige Renschler joins us here after a fantastic weekend, taking home 2 individual Summit League track championships. She joins us this morning. All right, give me off the hop. What's the first memory of the bowl and Bismarck and the state meet when I ask you that?
It was always fun. It was always just packed and crazy. It was just fun to be a part of that.
And the weather was always crazy, right? It would be hot or cold or both, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this. First off, as I mentioned, happy belated birthday because you celebrated on Saturday, probably the best way possible. Tell us about, first off, let's start with the weekend. What expectations were high. You obviously had a great spring season, but it's one thing to go and think you're going to do it, another thing to go and do it. Tell me about racing and having 2 basically perfect races in the 100 and the 200.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was definitely difficult because last year it was just kind of way different traveling and all that, but being at home, it was a good atmosphere and just, I think we were all ready to get out there.
For you mentally, did you feel pressure going into each of those races or were you relaxed? Give me your mindset going into those 2 events.
Yes and no, but I always just think that I'm never going to regret giving it my all, so that's all I have to do. So I'm only going to regret it if I don't try, basically. Yeah.
Tell me those 2 races are similar but yet very different. Tell us about the similarities to the 100 and the 200.
Yeah, they're very different and similar, yeah. But obviously the 100 is way shorter, so it's really like your start is important and just getting out in front of everybody and just holding it. But the 200 is a tough one.
What's the toughest aspect in your mind of the 200?
Oh, man, just really being by the starting blocks and seeing how far it looks from back there, because it's way further than the 100, obviously. It's literally double the distance, but...
We're going to show highlights here. We're going to start with the 100 meters. So take us through that race and how did it play out in your mind like it did actually how it manifested itself, or was it different how the race went in the 100?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like sometimes when I run, I just like black out and then I'm like, oh, there's the finish line. I'm already there. But yeah.
So you were surrounded by your teammates afterwards, and obviously, well, I want to get to that in a second, but when you crossed, did you realize, hey, I won?
Yeah, kind of. Just because I didn't see anybody, but I was like, I don't even know. I feel like I just literally blacked out.
Well, you won by quite a margin there. And then your teammates come and sing happy birthday to you. What was that like?
That was awesome. That was so nice of them. It's great having everybody there, especially at home.
All right, so that happens. Then you got, what, about a half hour, 45 minutes before you do the 200?
Yeah,
so
it was quick turnaround.
So you're back out there, and tell me about this race. We're watching the 200 meters now from Saturday and how that race played out for you.
Yeah, I was really exhausted, but I was just trying to get out hard and then maintain to the finish line, and that's what I did.
From the wide angle, we can see, Paige, like you set yourself up on the curve. How important is that in that type of race to get the lead when you're on the curve part of that, of the 200?
Yeah, I would say that's also part of my mindset is just trying to get out and catch the girl like on the stagger right away.
Yep.
I think that's a big thing because, I don't know, that's just always what I try to do.
You mentioned you were exhausted going into this. It didn't seem it. So after you cross the finish line, are you mentally wiped? And physically, I know you are, but mentally, are you done as well?
Yeah, it's kind of a relief to be like, oh, I did it. Like, now we're done. We got through it because it's definitely a long weekend, but it's a lot of fun.
To do this, I want to talk about the team in a second, but personally, how gratifying is this for you to have two individual track championships in the span of an hour?
Yeah, it was great. I definitely didn't think it would be possible until this year, but yeah.
I want to talk about that because I know Jeff Kolpak wrote about it. He and I talked about it on our show yesterday, of you actually going and competing collegiately in track. Can you give us the backstory on this, that this wasn't maybe necessarily what you were going to do?
Yeah, so it was like my senior year, and I was like, I should probably figure out something. And I kind of wanted to stay close to family. I didn't really have a plan. And I reached out to Stevie, and then I came on my visit, and I really liked it. And I just gave it a shot because what's the worst that could happen?
So literally you had no intentions of, like, let's say a couple years, like around May or April of your senior year, like no real intentions of doing anything collegiately track-wise?
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's wild. All right, so tell us, does he say, hey, we got a spot for it, or you say, hey, I'd like to come and do this?
Yeah, it was kind of like that. I just filled out like the questionnaire thing they have online, and he reached out and was like, you can come check it out. Yep. That's basically how it went.
So had he watched you run in high school at all? Did he have any knowledge of you?
I think so, because he knew my dad from college and that time, but besides that, I'm not really sure. I'm sure because his son also did high school track, so he was always around.
So getting there, I mean, when you get to NDSU, I mean, are you just with a, hey, I'm just going to take whatever comes? I mean, what was your attitude getting there and starting to train and compete?
Yeah, basically. I was training for the 400 right away, and I was just trying to do what I can. I was just trying to prove myself was my mindset going into that.
Well, you did that. You were third in the 100 and fourth in the 200 at the Summit Championships last year. Did that give you the confidence, say, I can do this?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
What was that, I guess, that confidence build and to take it into this year after having that kind of success last year?
Yeah, it really, like, I kind of proved to myself that I have like a good base, and now I can build on top of that, and just giving some reassurance to myself to be like, okay, I got this.
The question, Paige, I get a lot from people that don't follow your sport is, how does NDSU find all these different athletes from around North Dakota? You're obviously there. Can you explain that? You're part of the team for the last couple of years. That how does this happen where these athletes that maybe go under the radar and then become champions?
Yeah, I literally don't know. It's crazy because our team is basically just a bunch of North Dakota kids just going out there and giving it our all. But yeah.
How much of that is bragging rights then when you get to a meet like Saturday, when you've got Kansas City, who's got some sprinters. Oral Roberts certainly got fast people. Obviously, you know what South Dakota State, USD, UND does. And then, hey, you know what? We're going to go out and we're going to beat you guys. What is that mentality like?
Oh, it's awesome. I think especially at the conference meet, we all just come together and support each other, which is definitely different just from the normal meets around here because they're usually not team like points and all that. But
I got to ask, on going into Saturday, UND had a pretty good lead on you guys. What was there anything spoken on the women's side, like, hey, we can do this, or was there a big rah-rah speech Friday night going into Saturday, excuse me?
Yeah, they definitely had a big lead on us, and we did have a few big speeches, but especially being on our home track, we were like, we cannot let them beat us. And then we all came together, especially on Saturday. They always say that the championships are won on Saturday. Prelims don't matter.
Who had one of the better speeches? Can you tell us who got you guys all pumped up?
Definitely Stevie, I would say. Yeah.
What'd he say?
Just like I can't say some bad words.
That's okay.
Just like we got to go out there and get them. Like their events are stacked, their distance is stacked, but we have the sprints, the throws, all that. So, and we know we can do it.
I know Jeff was talking to us yesterday when Sydney won the hurdles. And then you guys, I think, placed in 5 or 6. Did that get the jump start for Saturday after what happened in the hurdles?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially seeing all those girls place.
Yeah.
Top 3, 5, and 7 was just crazy. It was a big point lead for us, for sure.
So afterwards, you guys win, and it wasn't even like there wasn't any drama in the 4x4. What was that like watching when, like, hey, there's nothing really we already got this?
Yeah, it's really fun once you get to the 4x4 and it doesn't come down to that points wise. I think it just lets everybody run loose and just have fun with it.
So describe what Saturday night was like for you. Is like you put your feet up? Did you enjoy your birthday? What did you end up doing after everything was done?
Yeah, I went home and hung out with some of my family and then hung out with my roommates and just kind of our adrenaline was just through the roof because it was just crazy.
Now, see, if it was me, I'd be walking around with my medals. I'm assuming you didn't do that on your birthday on Saturday night?
No, I did not.
Where are they at right now?
In my room.
Okay.
Just hanging
up. Like on a doorknob or something?
Yeah, exactly.
We got to get a mantle or something for that. For people that don't know, what's next now? Your season's not done. Tell us what's coming up for you.
We have the regional meet coming up next week. We leave on Monday and then see how that goes.
What are your that's the best in this part of the country now competing. Tell me your expectations of heading to that.
I honestly don't have any. I've never been. I've never watched it or anything. So just going in with a clear mind, hoping to do my best.
You feel that's probably maybe the best way? Like, I have no idea. Just going to treat it like I have the other races you've been in?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What in the 100, and before I let you go, and I appreciate you doing this, just that is such a race of reaction. How crazy is that where just even a slow start could eliminate you from a race like that? Is it frustrating but also exhilarating?
Yeah, it's really fun. And I would say my start is definitely a weaker part of my race, what gets frustrating at times. But yeah, the 100 is a lot of fun. So
we were joking here off air on the amount of wind you guys have had to deal with. How is that for a runner, especially for you? We're dealing with that. How do you deal with it? I guess I'll just ask.
Yeah, usually they flip it so we run with the wind, but trying to get a wind legal time, which is 4 and under, is frustrating at times because it's not legal.
Yeah.
Unless you get lucky.
Was there a other event you wanted to try and track? It was always on the sprint. Did you ever try a field event, or was always sprinting was where I wanted to be?
Yeah, I triple jumped once, but it didn't take me anywhere. So it wasn't really my thing.
Triple jump is the most awkward event out there. It just looks weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. I do not understand how people do it.
I don't understand how fast you run either, but you did it, and we appreciate you coming on. Congratulations. Like I mentioned, happy belated birthday, and good luck in a couple weeks in Arkansas, okay?
Thank you very much.
Paige Renschler joining us, Fargo's own Shanley product, who won the 100 meters and the 200 meters on Saturday at the Summit League Track Championships on the north side of town. We appreciate her joining us, and she said, hey, I'm going to give it a go, and I think that's worked out okay. Now we'll get a spot at the NCAA West Regional. That comes up next weekend down in Fayetteville. And they split that up where the women have designated days of competition. I think it's Wednesday, Friday, and the men go Thursday, Saturday. And then if you finish in a certain, normally it's top 8, will get you a spot in the NCAA championships coming up in Tracktown in Eugene. But congrats to Paige, and we'll be keeping an eye on who the Bison will be sending to the regionals. And we mentioned we'll have Zach McGlynn on hopefully either this week or early next week, because he'll be going in the decathlon to the NCAA championships in Oregon coming up next month. Good stuff there. All right, we'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things. Got a couple other emails coming in and set you up for a pretty good Sports Tuesday. Hot Mic wraps on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, I'm out. Sam will be in tomorrow filling in for me. I appreciate that. I have signed up for the first of, I imagine there's probably more coming, of field trip chaperone. The second time. I did it last year. Now we're stepping up bigger leagues here tomorrow. So I'm out for tomorrow. I'll be back with everybody on Thursday. Sam will be in tomorrow. I believe McFeely will be in tomorrow. We got a special surprise from Mike on our show tomorrow. I don't want to give it too much away, but that's coming up tomorrow, 9:30 for our show tomorrow. So I'll be back with everybody on Thursday. And Thursday's a big day for college nerds, because we'll be officially 100 days out from the start of the college football season, week 0. Actually, today is 100 days out from some FCS teams play, including the University of North Dakota. UND's first football game against the Sharks of Long Island is 100 days from today in Grand Forks. I should have been more prepared to give us more info on Long Island University. But that's who UND opens up 2026 with. In fact, if you were to look at UND's first 7 football games for this upcoming year, if UND's not 6-1 coming out of that stretch, then something went haywire. I'm just looking at the games 100 days out from today. We got UND hosting Long Island. Here's one right for Eric. Eastern Illinois at Murray State from lovely Murray, Kentucky. That comes up 100 days from today. Youngstown plays 100 days from today. Bo Brungard comes back. They have Mercyhurst on this day, 100 days from today. Houston Christian and Southeastern Louisiana are facing off against one another. Maine and Towson. Those are 2 teams that have played in the Fargo Dome, both of them. That is not a very good football game these days. That's at 5 o'clock, August the 27th, 100 days from today. Chattanooga plays West Georgia. Central Arkansas, UT Martin. Can I interest you in that? South Dakota Mines is playing Drake 100 days from today. It's not great. To go back to our good friend Sam Herder's point, they did not capitalize on taking advantage of not having any other games going on by that schedule. None of those games are going to get put on television. I'm going to tell you that right now. None of them. Outside of like local TV. I'm not national television. Nah. We're not going to. Stony Brook, Delaware State. No. Sorry. By the way, just real quick before we do what to watch. This is UND's first 7. Home for Long Island. Win. Home for St. Thomas. Win. At Portland State. Win. Portland State's bad. At Nebraska. They're not going to win that game. And the fact that they get Nebraska for the second time in 4 years is pretty good. Then at Indiana State. Win. I don't care if it's 3 straight roadies. They're not losing in Terre Haute. Home for Murray State. Win. At Northern Iowa. UNI still not good. I know the last time that UND went to Cedar Falls, they got shut out. Win. They should be 6-1. And then the back half, much more difficult. Home for the Jacks, at USD, at Youngstown, home for Illinois State, home for SIU. They've never won in Vermilion in the Division I era. Youngstown, they lost a horrendous game a couple years ago. Illinois State figures to be pretty good again. SIU may be gettable. That game's in Grand Forks. But I mean, Eric Schmidt's team, I'll just say, they should be 6-1 coming to the back end of the schedule. But they open up 100 days from today with the Sharks of Long Island University, I believe in their third, maybe fourth Division I season. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. Countdown is on. All right, What to Watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. Here we go. We got Astros Twins coming up, Game 2 tonight. Hopefully no 2-hour rain delay thrown in. 6:30 on Twins TV for that one. Game 1 of the East Finals in the Cavs and the Knicks on ESPN. 7 o'clock tonight from Madison Square Garden. That'll be rocking, and not a cheap ticket to get into that. And all the college baseball tournaments are underway. The SEC tournament going, Kentucky and Vandy, 1 o'clock on the SEC network. The Big Ten tournament going as well from Omaha. Our thanks to our guest today, to Paige Renschler, to Adam Jacobson, to Brett Peterson. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We're back here tomorrow.